Greetings! We're here in north central Oregon, near the tiny community of Friend, Oregon. After the ants have gone underground for winter, taking a look at a fascinating bit of geology in our landscape here. These mounds. These are not man-made, and nobody actually knows who or what made them. There are theories, but we do have a name. They're called mima mounds. And you can find them all over the place, not just in Oregon. But nobody knows exactly how they were made. Then Native Americans didn't make them. They're not burial mounds. They're not man-made from, say, clearing all the land to cultivate grain here, as we're here in wheat country. Yeah, they only mowed them down wherever they were going to put a wheat field. Everywhere else, they just left them. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them across hundreds and hundreds of acres, or even dozens and dozens of square miles. This whole long ridge along here is called Tie Ridge. And before it and after it, and all along near here, and the little community of Friend, there are mounds. And you can see there's some here in the kind of our immediate foreground, but then in the middle ground below Mount Jefferson. Oh, beautiful Mount Jefferson. And then there's some right here. Then, of course, Mount Hood in all of her glory. And then there's some more right here. I can actually see some on the little ridge over there, and then over by that house. And I know I've seen them along Highway 197 on the way between the city of the Dalles and, say, Maupin, and of course down south of the town of Maupin on the Deschutes River, rafting mecca. If you go south of there, heading towards Highway 197, you'll actually see some more off on the west side of the road. Huge, extensive landscapes. And this being fall, the sun is kind of going to have this low angle, and all day long it's going to have a low enough angle to really pop out the relief of these. But in any other time of year, morning and evening would be another good time of year to see the real shadows being cast by each individual one. This whole series of goosebumps on the landscape, and I have stopped off New Maupin and taken a look at those ones out there. They're just so interesting. You can't help. You're like, what are those? There's so many. Who made those? Why are they there? There have been theories that they were made by rodents digging up their tunnels and leaving stuff on the surface, but there's rocks on the surface of these that are way heavier than any rodent could ever move. And, humans didn't pile them up. We know they've excavated them. They're not burial mounds. There's just dirt and rock inside. There's no artifacts of any kind. And they're old. So the theory is, maybe insects? No insects, no termites could make a mound like that. Termites move itty bitty little grains of stuff around and pile them up in large quantities. Not large rocks that you'll find in here. Apparently even 20-pound rocks along here. Now, what could move 20-pound rocks into a pile? Well, the prevailing theory, and it's not proven, is that it's water. And the Columbia River used to run through here. It didn't. The Columbia River is like 20 or 30 miles that way. And it used to actually run down here. And they think that this is just, natural wave action. If you look on the landscape in like the basin up in like Washington, you can find miles long ripples in the landscape where water made huge car high long ripples in the landscape that are clearly made by water rushing. And they think this is the same kind of thing, only it's just individual bumps. Why it would make individual bumps and not long, ripples like you see on the sand on the beach, they don't know. But in the meantime, they're super fascinating. Driving along and going, look at all these bumps everywhere. What are those? Who would make those? Why would they do such a thing? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. Oh, a couple deer getting ready to run across the road over there. It's deer season, and all the deer are down out of the woods because the woods are just full of people right now, and they're almost all hunters. It's kind of surprising how there was nobody up. I was camping alone up in these woods for a long time, but then suddenly everybody's out there now. And I'm getting low because snow level's coming down, and I need to get to some warmer elevations. But in a sunny day like this, it's a perfect day to move camp and stop off and take a look at these fascinating bits of geology, or geography, however you want to call it, here in Oregon. And you can see them in Washington and other places around the country and probably the world. Fascinating things, and little mima mounds. And you can walk among them in certain places. They've set aside areas where you can tour between them and see how tall they are compared to you. They can be much taller than this or much smaller than this. They vary in size and everything and location. But it's very, very interesting, very fascinating, and definitely worth taking a stop and just kind of pondering over them for a few minutes. And, of course, taking a beautiful vista across our lovely landscapes. It doesn't hurt to take in the scenery once in a while here in Oregon. You got to do it. But I got to stop taking in the scenery and get on to resupplying and finding a new campsite because it's moving day. But I definitely want to thank you so very much for joining me for a few minutes here in north central Oregon near the tiny community of Friend to take a look at these interesting little geologic features, mima mounds.